पिछले 150 सालों से एक मुद्दा जो सबसे ज़्यादा चर्चा में रहा है और आजकल भी सबसे ज़्यादा चर्चा में है भारत में, वो है राम मंदिर का मुद्दा। तो इस मुद्दे ने इस तरह का रूप कैसे ले लिया? कब से राम मंदिर की स्ट्रगल चल रही है, इसके बारे में तो आपको पता ही होगा। आई थिंक 1850s और लाइक इन द लेट 19th सेंचुरी फर्स्ट एफआईआर फाइल हुई थी राम मंदिर के लिए। अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस एफआईआर, उसमें ये था कि जो बाबरी मस्जिद का ढांचा है उसे वो एक इलीगल एनक्रोचमेंट है ऑन राम जन्मभूमि लैंड, और उसको हटा करके राम जन्मभूमि मंदिर का निर्माण किया जाए। अब फाइनली 22 जनवरी को राम मंदिर बनने वाला है, लेकिन अभी भी कुछ सवाल हैं जो इस पूरे मुद्दे के आसपास घूम रहे हैं, जो अभी भी हमें सुनाई देते हैं कहीं ना कहीं इधर। नमस्कार दोस्तों, आपका एक बार फिर से स्वागत है मेरे चैनल पर बिटवीन द लाइन्स। आज जिस मैं वीडियो पर रिएक्ट करने वाला हूँ वो राम मंदिर के मुद्दे से ही जुड़ी हुई है। तो जो सवाल हमें ज़्यादातर सुनने को मिलते हैं वो ये है कि राम मंदिर को लेके इतना ऑब्सेशन क्यों? हिंदूज़ ने इस मुद्दे को इतना बढ़ा चढ़ा दिया है, इतना ज़्यादा आगे तक ले गए हैं कि इट ऑलरेडी टुक अ वायलेंट टर्न इन द 90s। और जो भी राम मंदिर में हुआ उसका कहीं ना कहीं उसे जोड़ के देखा जाता है। जो सब्सिक्वेंट अटैक्स हुए मुंबई में, जो कश्मीर में सिचुएशन हुई, वो भी एक राम मंदिर मूवमेंट का ही कॉन्सिक्वेंस मानी जाती है फ्रॉम सर्टेन लॉबीज, सर्टेन सेक्टर्स इन इंडियन मीडिया एंड सम एक्टिविस्ट्स। तो इनमें से कुछ सवालों का जवाब आज हम जानने की कोशिश करेंगे इस वीडियो के थ्रू, जिसका नाम है इज़ अयोध्या राम टेम्पल नीडेड? क्या ज़रूरत है राम टेम्पल की? बिना टेम्पल के क्या हमारे घर नहीं चलते? तो यही आज आंसर करेंगे सदगुरु। ही इज़ इन कॉन्वर्सेशन विद अ वुमेन जर्नलिस्ट। दिस वीडियो इज़ ऑन द चैनल Sadhguru, his official channel. I will give the link to the original video in the description. Go and check it out, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to his channel if you like the content. Come back and react with me, give me a thumbs up. Okay, let's jump in.
So what about this obsession with Ram and this?
This interview is with Hindustan Times, and the question is completely direct from the onset, from the very beginning. This is a clip taken from the entire length interview, which deals only with this particular issue. तो ठीक है, हमें इसी क्लिप की ज़रूरत है, हमें इस पूरा इंटरव्यू देखने की अभी इस समय ज़रूरत नहीं है।
Frenzy over the Ram temple, which of course now is going to be inaugurated. Where do you find this? Isn't it then misplaced?
I don't know, I wouldn't use those words, they're very strong words, obsession, frenzy, all this. Because if somebody has to be an inspiration after 7,000–8,000 years, there must be some element there. Not for one or two people. For millions and millions of people, if someone has to be an inspiration after thousands of years, there must be something. If we don't see that something, then we will say it's an obsession, it is this, that.
What
But
do you see?
let me come to this. And anyway, coming to that Ram temple, so Ram had a series of problems during his life. Even after thousands of years, he still has real estate issues. His real estate is not settled after thousands of years. So people who love him want to settle that real estate. I think it's settled, Supreme Court has settled it.
He also has identity issues because a lot of people raise questions about his existence, कि राम एक्चुअल में एग्जिस्ट करते भी थे या नहीं। So he has identity issues, he has real estate issues. Let's find out what other issues he
So
has.
they want to build a temple, it is devotion. Why should it be termed as frenzy and obsession?
Is it, let me use another word which again you will say is strong, isn't it divisive?
Why is it divisive?
Because it cuts across two communities.
Really?
It's been a bloody tale, and by bloody I mean a tale of blood, a tale of killings, a tale of riots.
What's happened in the last 800 years is the bloodiest tale that's ever happened in any part of the world ever. What happened to the Jews with Adolf Hitler? What happened to Native Americans with North America, what happened in Cambodia, all these things are nothing compared to what happened in India in these 800 years.
नेटिव अमेरिकन्स को मैं एक थोड़ा कॉन्टेक्स्ट दे दूँ जो अभी यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका है पहले it used to be occupied by the race or the people called Native Americans. They were like a lot similar to what we are culturally. They used to worship nature, used to live off the forest and the land and the natural produce. They were the dominating people in that part of the world. But slowly क्या हुआ कि जैसे जैसे Americans started, like जो current American race है Caucasians, they started coming onto the continent. They slowly wiped out the Native American populations, and they took a lot of pride in it. Even today, you will see planks. Ki here, 18 Indians were hanged. They call Native Americans as Indians. Ironical coincidence, whatever. Now, currently, the Native American population has been reduced into a minority, and they live off the reservations, which is not to be confused with what we have in India, but it is a similar affirmative action in which a piece of land or like some part of the land is allocated, which will only be populated by Native American population. So now they are a minority who have to fight for their rights. Sad.
And if you don't think that is bloody, and there is no any kind of remorse in people who committed those things, then just people want a small piece of real estate back for their asta, and that is divisive. Why is it divisive?
I mark that you're using the word real estate and not temple. Is that deliberate?
It is real estate. But temple is built by devotees' hearts. The land is just real estate. But it's sacred for them because it is identified as a birthplace, and obviously there's no question mark whether there was a temple or not. It is not one temple. Thousands of temples were raised because that's the policy, that it must be raised, and it will be raised in future also. If we don't protect it, it will be raised in future also. Even now in Pakistan, Bangladesh is happening. Why should it be divisive? Why can't everybody settle down to whatever nonsense they believe in and do their stuff? I can live without any belief system, but maybe people need some belief systems, so they have their beliefs. But how come I think my belief is right and yours is wrong, and you must die just for believing whatever I don't believe? If you don't address that and you say all these words, it's just… what is this? Where does this come from?
You spoke about the past, you spoke about past wars. Do two wrongs make a right?
See, there are no two wrongs. It's just a request. These three icons, Shiva, Rama, Krishna, thousands have been temples.
I don't think it's a fair comparison to call it two wrongs. Let me clarify based on what I understood. The first wrong here is the demolition of Ram Janmabhoomi temple by Babur, and the second wrong here is the demolition of Babri Masjid, which was built by Babur on the same land. So her question is, does it make it right? Like he did it, so now in answer of that wrong, people have now gone and demolished the Babri Masjid and built the Ram temple. So I think it is not a fair comparison because let's say I have been robbed, and if I go and demand justice and that justice is delivered by, like, that person is punished, so is it a wrong? Is it a second wrong? No, it is justice. So demanding justice is not the second wrong. Secondly, it's not like the Babri Mosque was demolished and a Ram Mandir was built on the same land. And the Ram Mandir has been constructed based on the course of law, based on the ruling of the Supreme Court. So I don't think it is fair to say that it was the second wrong, and also, like, it wasn't that the Ram Mandir was built by force. The law took its course and the justice was delivered.
Have been demolished. Nobody is asking because it's impossible to refix the history, and nobody thinks we can refix the history, nor is anybody interested. These three icons were their, the basic presence was. These three iconic places they're asking for, why can't it be just offered without a fight? Where is a fight? And nobody is fighting, they're only going to the court. Court is not a fight, it's a legal process. Why are you calling legal process a fight?
You have never prayed in your life or
It's a common lingo to call it a fight. We'll fight in court.
gone to a temple, or have you gone and when did you stop going? And have you read the scriptures?
I've definitely not read the scriptures. I'm not a temple-going person, I've built temples, but I
Yes,
don't
beautiful
go there.
ones.
If I go to a temple, if there is… See, our temples are not places of prayer. This is something that people have completely missed. Probably in the north, it's completely gone. In southern India, still the instructions are there. Here the…
It's not gone. It's not gone. We know that a temple is not a place for prayer. It is the abode of God. Like, it is the house where God lives. So it is a completely different thing.
instructions are in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, if you go to your temple, nobody told you you must pray, you must appeal to the god and this and that. If you go there, you must sit quietly in one place, because these are different types of energies. Consecrations are of different types. Each deity is consecrated in a certain way to open certain dimensions of your life. So you are supposed to sit there and imbibe that. Even in north, they only told you to have darshan, not have appeal, isn't it? Darshan means, because it's an energetic form, you take that impression into your mind and your heart. This will transform you. Because it's an energetic form, the physical form is just like a scaffolding. It is there, it is necessary for the visual apparatus, but it's the energetic form, you're supposed to imbibe it. Because in this civilization that you refer to as Hindu right now, which unfortunately has been so badly distorted, or let's say probably more appropriate word would be Sanatan, but that also has become a bad word today. Sanatan means eternal. So in this culture, nothing can be eternal unless it's all-inclusive. In this culture, there is no such thing as prayer. In this culture, there is darshan. In this culture, the aspiration is to not to go to heaven and sit with God. In this culture, the aspiration is to become divine. The aspiration is to become divine, because what we consider as divine is something that's risen above what we normally think is human action-reaction kind of life. See,
What he's referring to is, जो हिंदूज में कहा जाता है कि once you die, so either you're born again or you get moksha. Moksha essentially is becoming divine. That is, जो आपका आत्मा है, soul है, it will go and then it will merge into Paramatma. So it will become divine, essentially. So that is what he's saying, that our ultimate goal is not to go to heaven, not to be born again, but to get moksha. Moksha means to become divine again.
for example, many people, even in newspapers it's being written, Tendulkar is cricketing god. Because in people's mind, at least during his time, it's still so, whatever we thought was humanly possible, he rose beyond that, just hitting a damn ball, that's all.
People say Sadhguru is God. Your followers say Sadhguru is God.
No, nobody says that. They put me to work every day. So, when they say he is God, they're not saying he lives in heaven or some nonsense. They are saying he's risen above what we think is human ceiling. He's risen above that. This is how we worshipped Rama, Krishna, everybody. They rose beyond their limitations, no matter what life throws at them. Even in a battlefield, they're cool. Even in a battlefield, he's joking. So we bow down to him when everybody's terrified of life and death. Somebody is above that, means we'll bow down to him. Even now, suppose in Indian army, there is one major or one colonel or somebody, even in bullets are flying, he's just cool. Everybody will worship him because he's risen in some way. So in this culture, we are not wanting to go to God, we want to become that. But our idea is not the God. We see everything as God. We'll bow down to a tree, we'll bow down to a cow, we'll bow down to a snake, we'll bow down to a rock, man, woman, child, anything. Because No piece of life is happening without the source of creation throbbing in it. If you recognize it, you bow down. If you don't, you don't.
After watching this, there is one thing I remember, I heard long back, is that राम जी ने अपनी लाइफ में कभी ये नहीं बताया कि मैं भगवान हूँ, और कृष्ण जी ने अपनी लाइफ में कभी ये नहीं छुपाया कि मैं भगवान हूँ। बट इसके होने के बावजूद राम जी के let's take example of the life of Ram ji. Now what happened with him is कि he went through a lot of ordeals, a lot of situations he had to go through. He had to make so many tough choices, and yet he emerged victorious out of them, not because he won he killed his enemies, or like he won the war in Lanka, but it's because he maintained his cool. It's because people, whoever met him, became his devotee. They were so charmed by his presence of mind, calm personality, that they couldn't help but following him. And that is what people saw. लोगों ने देखा कि no matter what happens with this guy, he remains cool. He always makes righteous decisions. He always follows what is dharma. So that is why I feel that he rose to that stature of God, not because he performed some magics or he did any miraculous things. So for us, the definition of God has slightly shifted from what is God in the West or in the Middle East. Because when we talk about Jesus, the first thing people say to make him look divine is that he could turn water into wine, he could walk on water, he was the Son of God, he was born from a virgin mother. So all of these things are like impossible in real life, but they are miracles. So that is why he's been associated to divinity. Now, the same cannot be said about Ram, because he did not perform any miracles. He did not fly, he did not turn any water into wine or gold, any rock into gold, things like that. But with Krishna, it is not the same. It is, Krishna did a lot of miraculous things in his life. But the other challenge that he faced is that people did not perceive it as being divine. They perceived it as Mayavi. So let me take the example of Duryodhana. Like, everyone saw the miracles that Krishna had performed, and they told Duryodhana that you don't know what you're up against. He's God. He's the source of creation. How do you intend to defeat him if he's against you in the battlefield? So Duryodhana said, ये सब कहने की बातें हैं. कृष्ण सिर्फ मायावी है. He is not divine. He just knows how to perform some tricks. So that is what happens जब mind फिर जाता है, जब तुम्हारे सामने जो होता है वो तुम नहीं देख सकते. And that is what I feel is the condition of so-called activists who are still raising questions on the authenticity and the credibility of the Ram Janmabhoomi temple. Anyway, the Supreme Court has denied all the appeals, and I also heard that it won't need repairs for the next 1,000 years. Let's see how true that is. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for watching till the end. If you like the video, then subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and come back for the next one. Thank you.